Hi, this is Barry Tashian of Barry and Holly Tashian with John Broughton in Melbourne. This is Retrospectives on 3SER KC Radio. We'd like to help John celebrate his 20th year on air.
Hi, this is Holly Tashian of Barry and Holly Tashian. We're here with John Broughton on 3SER KC Radio, celebrating John's 20th year on air with Retrospectives. Congratulations, John.
I would rattle an old tin cup, but I'm not ready to go.
Would you tell us a little bit about the Remains? We didn't hear too much about them down here in Australia.
Okay. The Remains were formed at Boston University in the dormitory there in 1964, September. And we started jamming together in the dorm. And by Christmas time, we had a contract with Epic Records. And we were only together for 2 years, but we accomplished a lot in that time. We put out 4 singles on Epic, which weren't national hits, but they were regional hits at that time on the regional charts in Boston. We dropped out of school the next year. We dropped out of school the next year, and we went on the Ed Sullivan Show and the Hullabaloo Show, and we ended our career by touring with the Beatles for almost 3 weeks in August of '66. We opened the show for them in 14 cities and traveled with them on their chartered plane through these 14 cities.
It must have been an exciting time. It must have been an incredibly exciting time being caught up in all that.
It was very exciting, and I kept a diary, which in '96 I put together as a book called Ticket to Ride, the extraordinary diary of the Beatles' last tour, which I've gone day to day of that, city by city of that whole tour, like a scrapbook. And it's available here in the States from Dowling Press. But the Remains broke up right after that tour, and we've only had a reunion just in these last 2 months.
Yeah, so I heard. How did it go?
It went really well in Spain in September, and then in New York City just last weekend, where we had a packed house in St. Mark's Place in Greenwich Village. And they just loved it, and I've been getting flooded with emails from fans all over the country who had come to this show, especially to see the Remains, and there's a lot of excitement about it. So it was a lot of fun for me.
Did you ever contemplate back then in the 60s when you were fronting a rock and roll band that one day you'd take the musical direction that you're taking now?
No. I didn't even like acoustic music back then. I needed to hear electric guitars and drums and saxophones and stuff.
Holly, I believe you were instrumental in turning Barry's musical interests.
Actually, I'm not sure if it was me or who it was. I used to listen to bluegrass music quite a bit when I was in high school, and I knew Barry at that time, too. I also liked to listen to rock and roll just as he did, and we were friends. We used to listen to music together. But when I finished up in my college education, I started palling around with Barry again, and at that time he had met Graham Parsons, and he had started playing country music, and I liked that a lot, so I encouraged him to play country music, and it gave me a chance to play my fiddle and sing harmony. I wasn't a very good fiddle player, but I turned out to be a pretty good harmony singer. So I would say that maybe Graham Parsons had a lot to do with Barry's turning into the more towards country.
When for you did the music become a career option, perhaps?
Oh, I'd say probably at that point when I had studied psychology in school and ballet and all, I was really going that route. And then when I started having fun playing music with Barry, I decided I'd learn the guitar. I met Emmylou Harris at one occasion, and I heard her sing. This was just before Barry and I got married, I think in 1970, Barry? when did we get married?
72.
And I heard Emmylou sing, and that did it. I just said that I gotta be
That's what I want to do.
I gotta do it. Yeah.
So how did two people with such differing musical tastes to start with discover they could make music together?
It was, I think, a long process that has put the pieces in very well. But initially, we were just kind of feeling our way along and not really, I don't think, intending too much in the way of professional career together. But it was through my experience with Emmylou, working with Emmylou, and having worked with Holly in a country band during the 70s before I went with Emmylou, that allowed us to really focus on what we've been doing the past 8 or 9 years as Barry and Holly on Rounder Records.
As far as your songwriting goes, did it take a while for you to develop a process there working as a songwriting team, or did you settle in rather quickly?
Well, it's evolved over the last 12 years or so. We've been writing together. We generally just share the responsibility of lyrics and melody and try to work together as a team to find some material that seems appropriate for a man and wife to sing. As opposed to, say, a cheating barroom song, which is a little bit strange to sing. There's some great duets out there, and we love people like Tammy and George and those great duet singers, but we needed to find some material that would suit us. So that was what was behind the motivation. And then we just found that working together, I had kind of a more as I say, bluegrass approach to the music, and Barry had a more rock and roll approach. So when we put those two together, we began to find that we had a style that was kind of uniquely ourselves.
Now, we mentioned Graham Parsons earlier. Barry, you were fortunate enough to know and work with him. Can you tell us a little bit about working with him, and do you think we really got to hear the best of what he was capable of?
And I'm sorry, could you repeat the last part of that?
Do you think we actually got to hear the best of Graham Parsons? Do you think perhaps he had his best work ahead of him still?
Oh, gosh. I think that, to say what if is something that I can't really indulge in, because really no one has any idea. But it was really fun to know him back then, and his slant on music, while he loved rock and roll, he was raised in Georgia. I was raised in Connecticut. That makes me a Yankee, and that makes him not a Yankee. So he was steeped in the tradition of country music, and he had a feel for it that I just loved to sit and listen to him strum his Martin guitar and sing out some of these old country songs that he knew that I had never heard before. And it was just his flavor that intrigued me and made me see and hear country music as something valid for me, coming from the rock background. I saw that it truly was soul music in its own way, and so I had fun, and I got to sit in the studio and play rhythm guitar and sing along with Elvis Presley's band, who played on that GP album that I'm on. We did in, I guess, probably 72. People like James Burton, just an honor to be in the studio with people like that. And also I met Emmylou, of course, and got a chance to do a little songwriting. I wrote a song called Ooh Las Vegas at the time. Collaborated on that with Graham and Rick Gretsch. And I think I learned a lot at that time. But Graham was really a very special, had a very special spirit. He was very intense. He burned hot, if not for too long.
You must also have some fond memories of your time spent in Emmylou's band. Was it a difficult decision to make to leave that?
No, not actually, because It had run its course, and Emmylou had really come to the end of her desire to have a hot band as an electric country band of that type. She had done it pretty much since the mid-late 70s, and this was 89, when November of 89, in fact, almost 1990. So it was close to 15 years, I would say, that she was doing the hot band project. Yeah. And as we all know, since then, she's gone very much ahead into different kind of atmospheres each time she's done an album. You know, from the Nash Ramblers into the Spy Boy, which she's doing now, you know, with the recording in New Orleans with some real rhythm and blues and jazz schooled musicians. And she's now recording an album with Linda Ronstadt, I understand.
Oh, right.
And I think there's going to be a trio album also.
Yeah, I did hear something about that.
So she just keeps going, and so it wasn't a hard decision for me. It was a difficult transition to make out of her band into what I should do next. And with Holly's kind of suggestions, we decided to go ahead and get together as Barry and Holly, rather than for me to look for employment in another country band, country artist that was recording, someone like Kathy Mattea or Patty Loveless, which I had some opportunities to get involved with. I declined and went the route of that took a little more faith. And I think in the end it turned out to be the more gratifying path.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to talk to you both about, I believe you both offer songwriting and harmony workshops. How does that work?
We have a lot of fun with that. We in fact, we're going to be doing a camp this summer in New England where we have an opportunity to do both the harmony workshop and some songwriting workshops. We get people to sing, and we talk about how we sing together and the mechanics of singing, plus the mechanics of harmony. We hopefully get everybody to sing in parts and have a good old time. And then in our songwriting workshop, which we haven't done too recently, basically we talk about the mechanics of songwriting and what makes a good song. And we can do some critiquing of songs if people bring them in. But it's just really a fun thing for everybody. We're not real too serious teachers. We just have people see that it's something that's enjoyable to do.
Somebody like myself who can't sing to save themselves, how do you teach a skill like harmony singing?
Well, it's not all mechanics. You know, Holly was using that word a lot, but it's also just a demonstration of what we have to share from our own experience and what we do. We sing songs, and we'll stop in the middle of the songs, for instance, and explain like what we're doing. And oftentimes the people who attend our harmony workshops are couples who like to sing duets, and they have a lot of questions about, you know, they'll say, well, what did you do right there? And we'll stop and explain as much as we can. And the people find it very interesting. And sometimes we learn some things about our own music, too.
I imagine it would help you sharpen your own skills, too.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Now, just talking about your songwriting, do you write together with a specific project in mind, like this is the song for us, or this is the song we might give to somebody else? Or is when the song's finished that you actually decide what to do with it?
Both. We start if we have a project due for Rounder, it really spurs us on to start writing, and we'll schedule writing appointments with each other on a day-to-day basis, daily basis. And if we don't have a project due, then it's more of a on again, off again thing. But no matter what the purpose in mind, once the song is finished, then we have to really see whether it'll work for the for us. First, we see if we can do it, because we try to write for ourselves.
Yeah.
So mostly that's really all we do, is we write songs for ourselves. And then if for some reason we decide not to do them, maybe someone else would like them. So our publisher takes them all and has demos of them and plays them to whoever will listen.
Now, you're based in Nashville. From what I gather, it's a real songwriter's capital there. What is it about the place that seems to attract so many talented songwriters, do you think?
I don't know. It's that the whole business is based here. All the publishing companies and the artists that are looking for songs. And I think that once you come here to Nashville, you realize how much just being present has to do with getting your songs pitched. And it's who you know, a lot of it. It's who you know, and being friends with people and doing all that kind of inside work that helps get songs cut. For somebody who doesn't live here and sends in a tape of a song, it may be a great song, but their chances of getting it published and pitched and cut are a lot smaller, because they just don't have that inside friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the big reasons people move to Nashville. And there's a very nice community here, actually, of people who write songs and support each other, and workshops you can go to, songwriting, and all kinds of how to get your song published, how to get your song demoed, and all that is all available.
And lots of clubs that have songwriting, songwriters
nights.
Singing every night of the week.
Oh, yeah, every night. There's probably about 10 different clubs that have songwriters just, beating down the bushes trying to get their songs heard.
Yeah.
Writers in the round.
Yeah.
And many styles have been mentioned by critics describing your music, so there's obviously a great diversity of sound there. Is that important to you to maintain that?
Yes. I'll speak for myself, but I like the diversity, because with just the two of us with two guitars, I think that one of the charms is to keep things variety happening, so that we might do a country duet, and then we might do a fast bluegrass song, then we might do a
Sweet Georgia Brown,
a little swing number, then some kind of quasi rock and roll or early rock and roll style, acapella gospel. It keeps us interested, and I think probably it keeps the audience somewhat interested.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
One thing I also find is a good time element to your music, a real sense of fun. I find that quite refreshing. Are you extra conscious of generating that feel when not taking yourself too seriously?
Well, we feel like if we're having fun, then we're doing our job. We're doing our job right. And so if that's true, then it's contagious, and you'll feel that. And you can tell we have a lot of fun making our records. We get all these great musicians in the studio, and it's just a joy for us to hear what they do to these songs that we sit in our house and write. We bring them down there, and in walks Al Perkins, in walks Stuart Duncan, Ronnie McCurry, who's bass?
Well, Roy
Husky.
Played bass on all our recordings, and
Sammy Lou comes in and sings harmony sometimes for us, and it's just a joy. Dan Doug Moore, you were going to mention, Holly?
Yeah, he's my favorite steel player.
And so we walk in with our song and sit around in a circle with these guys, and we Holly and I will just sing the song a couple of times, and everybody will experiment around with it a little bit. And then Jim Rooney, our producer, will say, "Okay, let's cut one," and we'll hit the red button, and we'll usually get it recorded within 2 or 3 tries. So it's rare that we'll play the song in the studio more than 4 or 5 times, all told. From them not ever having heard the song to it being on tape. So it's a lot of fun, because it's basically a jam session.
With the best people. with the cream of the crop.
Yeah. Oh, look, if you enjoy your work, you can't go wrong, can you?
Yeah, that's right. I think that's
right,
really
John.
important.
Now, how active Rounder Records in the sound of your records? Do they leave you pretty much to pursue whatever direction you want?
Yes.
In the
Absolutely.
beginning, they had asked for a remix of some of the things that we delivered to them, whereas Holly's voice would be louder. And other than that one time back in the early 90s, it's pretty much been up to us.
What's the extent of your live work over there? You're pretty much on the road for a fair part of the year?
We have been. We've been pushing pretty hard for the last 20 years, really, as far as my work with Emmylou on the road. I played over 1,000 shows with her, and that was all over the world, mostly the U.S., but we did come down under one time. I was with her. And then since the end of '89 with Holly, she and I have been also touring quite a bit, mostly in Europe and the U.S., and we did get to Australia in '95, and I think we weren't very well known down there, so some of our dates were in small places, like, as I recall, in Melbourne, we played at McCobbin's Pub, the name of the place. But we also played the Harrietville Bluegrass Festival, and we were on Good Morning Australia from one of the TV stations, and did some radio things, and played in Brisbane and Wellington, New Zealand, and Auckland, and Bathurst in Australia. And that was in '95. October 10th to October 30th was our trip. We had a great time, and getting ready to think about maybe coming again.
Oh, terrific. That was my next question.
Yeah, I would love to come back.
Has there been any approaches at all? Or?
We haven't had anybody calling us up or beating down the door to have us come back there, but we haven't really approached it either, and we'd like to come. So I don't know. I don't even know who's doing booking down there.
What is the structure of your live show? Is it just the two of you on stage all the time?
Usually we have a bass player with us, upright bass, and we play two 45-minute sets, take a break in between. We like to meet people, and we're pretty casual in that we really feel like we like to know our audience. We don't stand off too far.
Yeah, we like to talk to people.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? Oh dear. Sometimes if it's a festival, then it'll just be one set, say 50-minute set or 1 hour set.
We've had a fun time taking our son, Daniel, with us. He plays mandolin, and that's really always good to have the kind of family band sound. That would be nice to bring him down to Australia.
Now, do you both ever find the time to step back a bit from music and just be a normal, regular married couple?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've been doing more of that these days, and we like it. It feels good. In fact, we've I guess this last year we decided to take a little time off the road, so we've been spending more time at home and kind of remodeling our house, which has been a lot of fun, and it's really fun. The results is you get to live in a really nice new environment. Holly's been getting interested in something called feng shui. I don't know if you have that down there.
No, it's a new one on me.
Fengshi. It's the Chinese art of placement and energy flow.
Oh,
Actually,
yes.
It's quite popular in Australia.
Yes, I have heard of it now. I just wasn't aware of the name.
Yeah.
So anyway, Holly has feng shuied our house.
Oh, right.
Feng shuied our lives.
And it's been a great improvement. And I've taken some time to help with that, and doing some landscaping work is enjoyable to us. We have about 2/3 of an acre here, fairly close to Music Row, actually, but it's very tree-lined yard. We have a lot of trees and bushes and a garden, and it's very nice. It's a quiet street, kind of on a hill, and yet we can get to Music Row in our car in about 5 minutes. We lucked into this place in 1982 when we moved to Nashville, and there's been, of course, tremendous growth in the city since then.
Yeah.
So this area we live is a very hot area. It's called Green Hills, and the traffic's building up a lot, but so are the home values. So we're happy about that.
Now, just before we wind up, what are your future recording plans?
Well, I've been thinking about recording with the Remains.
Oh.
And so that's a possibility in the next year or so. And we were just talking about getting together and starting to write some new songs together for another Barry and Holly project.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to do something kind of more on the line of rockabilly, and something kind of cross between country and rock album, and move in that direction.
And Holly's been also playing with a string quartet. She plays violin with a string quartet and a bass with a string band that plays a lot of square dance and traditional old-time music. So we're kind of covering a lot of bases here.
Wow, yeah. Plenty to keep you busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, Barry and Holly, I want to thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute treat talking to you this morning.
Well,
thank you, John. It's been a treat to talk to you too,
yeah.
and all of your Australian listeners there. We would love to come back, so keep us in mind.
Absolutely. Best of luck with everything, and we certainly keep our fingers crossed that we'll get you down here in the very near future, and perhaps you can come and feng shui my house for me while you're here.
All right, it's a deal.
Okay.
Okay, John.
Thanks a lot, folks.
Keep in touch.
All the best.
All the best. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.